starting right now on a Friday from the Seaport. I'm Greeny. Delighted you've chosen to get up with us. Delighted this cast of characters has chosen to get up with us as well. Damian Woody is not in a good mood on this day. His Lakers are done, and he is devastated. Plus, Bart Scott can't wait. Jeremy Fowler ready to go. Let's get to it. We begin with the game of the night. The end of the season for LeBron and the Lakers. They were looking to extend, and they had that man back in the lineup to do it, Anthony Davis, but it wouldn't last long. We're still early in the first. Devin Booker blowing by AD, and you can see Davis is just a shell of himself. Clearly in all kinds of pain, can't get back on defense, and here's the moment where he just knows it is over. Davis goes to the locker room. He would not return. Later in the first, meanwhile, Booker was just unstoppable. He hit 6 threes in the first, tied for the most threes in any quarter in NBA playoff history. That set the tone. Halfway through the second quarter, Suns up 21. That's more from Booker. Suns had a 3-touchdown lead at halftime. 5 minutes to go in the third. Lakers down 15. LeBron not giving up. Taking it strong through the traffic. Staples Center starting to come alive, trying to will the Lakers to a win. They cut it to 13. A buck and a half to go in the third. Lakers down 15. That's LeBron. He would finish with 29. It's a 13-point game to the fourth. Fourth quarter, the lead is 15 points. Chris Paul in total control, knocking this one down. He had 8 points, 12 assists. Lakers needed timeout. Chris Paul can smell it as he walks to the sideline. Under 2 to go. Just watch LeBron. He just knows he's got nowhere to go. The Suns shot 50% from the floor, 51% from 3. Devin Booker, 47 points in the series-clinching win. LeBron and the Lakers are headed home after round 1. Phoenix wins it in 6.
Just wanted to be out there for the team. You know, in a situation when to go home. Obviously didn't want to just lay down and not be able to do what I can. It never really felt good, but like I say, I once God just the competitive nature in me to go out and help the team, as best as I could. My body didn't agree.
It doesn't matter to me as far as, not making it out of the first round. What matters to me is getting this team back healthy. Me not being able to be at my full strength throughout this series, that's my main focus. But, time to readjust and think about what the offseason has in store.
Well, it will be an unusually long offseason, and we're going to have complete coverage throughout this morning. Stephen A. is going to join us, and Zach Lowe and Big Perk is going to be here in just a minute. We're having a little technical issue with him, but I have to start, Damian Woody, with you. I see the look on your face. What is your reaction to the Lakers going out in round 1 last night?
First of all, Bart needs to chill with all that hooting and hollering over there because of my Lakers. But, man, it's devastation, Greeny. It really is, man, because, you're coming off the championship last year, and then obviously you see what a team where both of its superstars are not 100% looks like, going against a Phoenix Suns team that has a lot of firepower, a lot of young firepower, and led by Chris Paul, the veteran at the point guard position. And Greeny, I actually saw this coming a mile away, man. I just figured Anthony Davis was going to try to go, but, listen, big guys don't tend to get healthy when they're always hurt. And, it's a situation where LeBron would have to put up a Herculean type of effort, but it didn't matter in the end because the Phoenix Suns just had too much firepower.
Well, you just touched on it. And, Bart, I hear you talking about the NBA on your radio show literally every single day. And if there's one thing all football players know, it's injury. And I guess my question, Bart Scott, is looking ahead for LeBron and his chances of getting back to a championship. Is Anthony Davis just too injury prone to be depended upon to be the guy to help him do it?
Yeah, he's Samuel L. Jackson and Unbreakable, man. He's Mr. Glass. He's always hurt. And listen, he's too young to be hurt like this often, Greeny. And you need, right now, LeBron's later stage in his career, he needs to be Shaq, right? He needs to be Shaq going into the Miami Heat with Flash. He needs his young superstar to carry him. And LeBron, at this point in his career, needs to be great in spurts. He shouldn't be forced to have to carry a team right now, and that's the problem that's going on. Anthony Davis is not reliable, and that's what they have to really figure out. And LeBron, the general manager, outsmarted himself because he had some players last year that really would have helped. Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, trading them in for Gasol and Drummond just hasn't worked out, Greeny, and LeBron has to take responsibility for that because Danny Green spaced the floor. He has nobody to space the floor, no shooters. Struder didn't show up. Caldwell Pope didn't show up. Caruso didn't show up. And LeBron is the one that's responsible for that because he's the one that handpicked these players. And at this point in this stage in his career, he needs a better supporting cast.
I guess that is the question of the day. However it is you want to phrase it, Damian Woody, when they win, LeBron gets the credit. Now they lose. How much of the blame do you think belongs with him?
Well, it's like any really good quarterback, Greeny. Just like you said, when LeBron wins, we shower praise on LeBron. When he loses, when the quarterback loses, a lot of blame goes on the quarterback as well. In this particular situation, I get it. LeBron has been hurt. We all know about the injury that plagued him during the regular season. But at the end of the day, it's LeBron James. We have so high expectations for LeBron James. And what I was expecting, and I think what a lot of people was expecting, again, was a Herculean effort. You're going into an elimination game against the Phoenix Suns in the first round. We didn't need the facilitator LeBron. We needed the LeBron James that could dominate a game and will his team to the next game. But we just didn't get that, whether it be injury or whatever the case may be. So yes, there's going to be a lot of hate on LeBron today, and I can't say that I'm against it, to be honest with you.
All right, final thought.
So here's the thing, right? Like LeBron didn't run into his equal as far as a athletic ability when you think about him and Chris Paul. What he ran into an equal leader who's able to facilitate and understand the game and be able to take control of the game. It's not about Chris Paul. We're not going to look at his numbers and say, oh, Chris Paul's look at what a great game he has. What he does is he manages the game. He understood when they had that run how to slow the game down, slow the tempo down, and be able to get some pivotal baskets to put the game away when LeBron was trying to play hero ball, and they were trying to make a way to come back. Montrezl Harrell coming in, not being able to contribute, LeBron has to take ownership of that as well because that was a bad pickup.
Oh, by the way, Chris Paul had Devin Booker on his side last night, who scored 47 points.
Coming out party, Greeny.
LeBron's running mate. Injury prone, to say the least. All right, again, we are waiting to get Kendrick Perkins up here, just having some technical difficulties. We'll get him. We'll have Zach Lowe. We have Stephen A. We have Tim Legler. Full coverage of this as the morning continues. But there's also the huge football story today as we keep a close eye on the standoff between Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Our Rob Domofsky, who covers Green Bay, was on ESPN 1000 radio in Chicago yesterday and had this to say regarding the possibility of Rodgers returning to the organization.
I just don't see him walking back in the Lambeau field and saying, just kidding, guys, let's go win a championship. He's too dug in. He's too stubborn. I just don't see how you walk this back. I mean, the only way he walks it back is if he realizes that, or believes that public sentiment is against him and he cares about what fans think of him. In terms of that legacy part of it. I guess that's the only way I see him reconsidering.
That is what I have been trying to argue here for a while. All these people saying the Packers are going to wait him out. You can wait an awful long time. This is, and I mean this, in a not necessarily in a negative way. He's the most stubborn NFL player there is. So I don't see him walking back in there either. Jeremy Fowler, what should we be expecting as they have mandatory minicamp next week?
Well, Greeny, as of right now, the Packers are still a bit in the dark as to whether Aaron Rodgers will actually show up for minicamp. And I spoke to a couple league execs this morning who said he might just not because they know he is so dug in. But from what I'm told, the Packers' strategy is still clear-cut. They're actively looking for solutions here. They've looked at ways to potentially amend his contract for better guarantee structures to take the uncertainty of his future out of it. Looking at all options, they don't want to trade him, but they're also prepared to wait this out for the long run because they know, look, if things go really south, and that they have to trade him eventually, that would involve future draft picks that don't even affect this year anyways. So they can wait, and if he doesn't show up, doesn't play, we're talking about signing bonus money forfeited, salary forfeited, $30+ million.
Exactly. They could recoup some of that money. They wouldn't necessarily be any worse off this season, at least on the field as far as roster, and they could wait it out and see if Rodgers caves. So, Bart, I mean, that's really the game of chicken that we're dealing with here. Do you expect Aaron Rodgers at any point, under any circumstances, to cave?
I mean, I have an out for both of them, right? Because, listen, nobody on this set, no matter how much money you make, are willing to give back $30 million. And remember, that's $30 million that's already been taxed in your bank account, so you're actually giving back more than $30 million. So I think Aaron Rodgers, I think he does show up. But I think the solution to the problem is Aaron Rodgers says, okay, if I come back this year and I play for you, this is my last year, and you're not trading me for anything. I want to be outright released so I can be a unrestricted free agent, and I can choose where I want to go, and any team doesn't have to give up any compensation for me in the future. That's my deal, and you either take it or leave it.
How about you, D. Wood? What is your expectation? I get that thinking. It would involve playing another season, and who knows, maybe even winning a Super Bowl. They're that kind of good. What do you think, D. Wood?
Well, I mean, listen, if it's about winning, Greeny, what other option is better than Green Bay right now? Okay, if it's not about winning, then yeah, maybe I could see Aaron Rodgers being like, you know what, I'm out of here, I want to go somewhere else. But if it's about winning, Green Bay is the best option. There's no other option that's better than Green Bay right now that's been the back-to-back NFC Championship game. So I just think that's what we have to. What is this all about? Is it about the front office? Is it about money? If it's about winning, then it can't be about another team over the Green Bay Packers, because that's the best option.
All right, guys, sit tight. We will have more on this as we go. And again, full coverage of LeBron and the Lakers going out, and Coach K is standing by ready to go. So we are jam-packed here. Let me take in the history of American team sports. You could defend it. He is Mike Krzyzewski, and we are delighted to welcome him live to get up the day after the announcement yesterday being made officially that one and done, if you will, Coach, to use a term that has become common in your profession these days. And so thank you. Mike, what made you decide that this was the right time and the right way to do this?
By the way, I've not heard the one and done thing. That's pretty good. It's really good. My wife and I have talked about it for the last few years, but not seriously. And in this spring, we're both 74. Actually, we celebrate our 52nd wedding anniversary today. We got married on graduation day at West Point, and after the season, it wasn't because of COVID or the nature of college basketball or anything like that. And we said, is it time? We have 10 grandchildren, and they all live around us. And then we took time. Once we said we'd like to do it one more year, and then we got our daughters together. And we've always made like a family decision. We have 3 daughters, and we actually call ourselves from the start, when I started at when we finally got all 3, we called ourselves the starting 5. And then I talked to my staff, and Kevin White, my AD, and Vince Price, my president, and we did it along the way. And it's time. It's time. But I wanted one more year. I'm excited to coach and passionate to coach next season, but I know it's going to be the end. So I didn't want to recruit anybody and then tell them at the end of the year I'm leaving when I already know I'm leaving. And in this way, if we could name a coach, and one was right there, right on our John Shire. John's ready. He's my top assistant. And so we can do this year, and that can be a runway for John and Chris Carrawell and Nolan Smith to form their team throughout in recruiting. So I think it's a good plan. As a military guy, I've always thought of succession. It's part of leadership. It's not just you leading and then leaving. It's you leading and helping somebody in the succeed after, have that continuity of excellence afterwards. So that's what I think a good leader does.
Coach, my observation watching your press conference yesterday was how happy you looked. How would you describe your emotions right now?
Yeah, I'm very, I'm proud. I'm proud of the guys that I've coached, the teams, and I really do feel I've been the luckiest guy in the world, and to do this, to do it at Duke and with the U.S. team at West Point. Come on, so I'd rather celebrate that, and I feel great about it, and then hearing from so many people have brought up the relationships, whether they're former players, former staff members, fellow coaches, and just friends. You find out that so many people have shared those moments with you, which makes it really even more fulfilling.
One of those, of course, is Jay Williams, who is, of course, you know, works with us here. And he said on this show yesterday, Coach K doesn't coach players, he changes lives. Coach, what does that mean?
I would think it means that you develop, really lasting relationships with them. One of the cool things, Greeny, about coaching in college, and you had it even more when guys were here for 4 years, where you help guys develop not just as players, but as people. I call it crossing bridges of improvement. And when you help somebody cross the bridge, whether it become a better player, better student, better person, they remember that. And you end up crossing some bridges with them later in their adult lives too. And what I call it is solid, fulfilling relationships. And with Jay, he was as good a player as there was in college basketball. 2-time National Player of the Year, 2nd pick in the draft, and he has this horrific accident, and boy, he had a huge bridge to go. I'm so proud of what he's done, and I mean he should still be playing, and he'd be an NBA All-Star. Instead, he had to overcome that. And then I told him he still has some work to do in the media, but he's become a good father, good husband, and I'm proud of him.
Hey, Coach, you've told me many times that college basketball needs some sort of central leadership, someone like Adam Silver to run everything. What would you say if I said the best person to do that starting a year from now is you?
Well, it's not a job I'm looking for, but behind the scenes, I've tried to be on committees, and we're on one right now, and it's very frustrating, Greeny. And really, the NCAA, the bureaucracy, and they have to be at a certain level, but it's such a slow process of change. It's not kept up with the pressures that are put on the game of men's college basketball. We're really the only sport that is competed against by outside entities. The NBA, there's the NFL, there's Major League Baseball. We're not talking about that, but there's the G League, Ignite. There's overtime that's going to be for high school players where they get paid. There's another one that's trying to be developed for college. And then you have to recognize that you're in a competitive business. Men's college basketball is not just a sport, it's $1 billion business. It's $1 billion business, and it needs to be run more like a business and within the structure of all these other sports that the NCAA is responsible in developing. It's different. It's different, and you try to still do it by committees. You can't run $1 billion business by committees. It's impossible. You can't. The coaches are never in. Coaches or the representative are Craig Robinson, a great man, great guy, is our executive director of the NABC. He should represent us in any room that's making decisions about men's college basketball, so that you get a feel for it. We should be like Hamilton. We need to be in the room where it happens. And there's never a representative representing college basketball in the room where it happens. And as a result, you have really committees running this, and they're all great people in that, but that's not their job. That's another job. They're on a committee. They're an athletic director, they're a faculty rep, they're a commissioner or whatever, and great people. but they don't have a thing that I learned at West Point, and that's for leaders, you have to have pinpoint responsibility. Like, you're responsible for your show, right? I mean, a committee doesn't run it. You are the one who's responsible, and so that's really needed, and we're way behind in that. I'm sorry to pontificate about this.
This is a topic that I would like to expand upon the next time we get the opportunity. I know that you're very busy today. Congratulations on your anniversary. The very best to you and your family.
Thank
we'll
you.
see you again soon. Thanks for doing this.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right, that's the great Mike Krzyzewski with us here. We'll take a short break. There's so much going on today. Coming.
They pretty much just kicked our ass. I mean, there's nothing else really to say. It's been a roller coaster for us all year, especially with injuries.
LeBron and Anthony Davis out. The Lakers lost again.
How much ground do they lose come playoff time?
The Phoenix Suns have beaten the defending champion.
It's been mentally draining, spiritually, emotionally draining. And given everything we had up until this moment, made a better man win.
For the first time in his NBA career, LeBron James loses in the first round of the playoffs. The Suns eliminate the Lakers last night. And here is Tim Legler getting up with us this morning. Tim, what does this loss mean for LeBron?
Well, personally, I honestly don't think it means anything. And I think people that are trying to pile on right now, it's almost as if they're speaking as fans, some of these media people, because they wanted to see the Lakers move on, because they think it's better for the league and it's more interesting. They need to stop with all that. The Lakers got basically what they deserved because they treated the regular season like a 72-game exhibition season. They put no sense of priority in the season because they thought ultimately at the end of the day, they have Anthony Davis and LeBron James, and they'll figure it out when the time comes. And they made some great additions in the offseason. And on paper, they looked unbeatable coming into the season with what they added. But the truth is, you cannot go through the regular season without prioritizing what you're doing. And that's kind of how they acted. They were a team coming off a championship that felt like, hey, we got a lot of vets. We're going to be fine. We don't care where we end up seated. And it's just not the case in the Western Conference anymore, particularly when you have guys that were injured. You have guys that missed as much time as LeBron and AD did. So for me, this whole thing is just a culmination of what was headed their way based on how they treated the regular season. You can't play with a lack of urgency and expect to just show up, flick a switch, and get two great players on the court and make it all happen, particularly when one of those guys ends up, re-injuring himself once you start the postseason. And, Greeny, you're playing against a really, really good team. So long-term and legacy-wise and all of those questions about LeBron, it doesn't affect him at all. LeBron James is the second greatest player of all time. And this is subjective. Anytime this conversation comes up, that's where he is on my list. This doesn't drop him down to third or fourth or anything like that. Now, maybe someday down the road, somebody can catch LeBron James, but not in the foreseeable future. But to me, this doesn't knock him down a rung on the legacy ladder. This is what I expected to happen with the Lakers, really, with the way they treated the regular season. It was just a matter of, is there talent enough to get this train back on the tracks? And I gave him the benefit of the doubt that was possible, but I am not surprised by the outcome of this series.
I hear what you're saying, and most of me wants to agree with you, but there's another part of me that says if Anthony Davis isn't hurt, maybe everything they were planning would have worked, which leads me to this question. If LeBron is going to get back to winning another championship in his career, is Anthony Davis just too injury prone to be depended upon to be the guy to help him do it?
I think so. I mean, I think I felt that way about Anthony Davis really his entire career. Now, look, he was able to get it together a year ago in these unusual circumstances down in the bubble. And, who knows how that ultimately would have played out if that was a normal season and a normal postseason. Bottom line is, though, they did get it done. They got it across the finish line. They got a championship. And he was there, and not just available, he was sensational throughout that run. But we know what Anthony Davis is prone to, and we just witnessed it again. And I give him a lot of credit. People are trying to beat him up and beat up the training staff. It's really, you can't win anymore if you're an athlete. You go out and try to gut it out because you want to try to help your team avoid elimination, and you get beat up for that because you potentially re-injured yourself. So I give him credit for trying last night to go out there, even though it wasn't very smart, because obviously right off the bat, he couldn't move. And a limited Anthony Davis, to that extent, is not going to help you win a game. You need a healthy player in that spot. So it wasn't the smartest, but I give him credit for at least going out there and gutting through it. But this is Anthony Davis's history. You have to know it. And if you're talking about a long-term contract for mega money, yes, there's absolutely concern if you're LeBron James, if you're the Lakers, about his availability when you're going to need him most. There is no question that is fair to think of Anthony Davis in those terms.
Let me ask you one more on this on LeBron, because I agree with you, this is not a statement about his historical greatness. But are we now at a place? Oh, and we do have Big Perk, who joins us as well here. Kendrick, we've been having some technical issues. Wonderful to have you. Let me ask, I'll ask you this question first. Borky, I'm just going in a whole different direction. LeBron's historical greatness is in stone. Legler, I agree with everything you just said. But at this point, at this stage of his career, at this age, we kept waiting to see him become that Game 6 LeBron that we've talked about. Is that just a part of the past now? I mean, you can't do that for an entire lifetime. Kendrick, are we no longer at a place where LeBron James can just put a team on his back the way he used to and carry them all by himself?
Well, Greeny, I think so. And when you think about it, think about this. He said last year that we're going to run this offense through Anthony Davis. It's the reason that Braun wanted to run the point guard position, because he wanted to go through AD. And I think at that moment in time, we were witnessing him actually hand over the keys to the vehicle, to the car, to Anthony Davis. And I think Braun knows where his body is at. He's still a guy that could go out there and get you 25 points a night. But is he a guy that could put a team on his shoulders and still carry them through multiple playoff series on to the finals with and the number one guy leading the charge? I don't think so no more. And it's okay. I mean, he's going into his 19th season. This is why Anthony Davis, like Tim Legler was just saying, great point. His health is so important for LeBron James. And it does raise concerns because of his history, Greeny, like Tim just said.
So I want to hold that thought just a second here, guys. Stay with me, because I want to show the other game from last night and then how it might all tie together. So Portland-Denver Game 6 was last night as well, with the Nuggets looking to put that one away on the road. Nikola Jokic, Damian Lillard, what a series this was, and what a game it was last night. Time winding down in the first half, the Blazers were leading by 4, and it's Damian Lillard. You go find me a player who's been better in this postseason than him. His 35th three of the series, most threes in any playoff series ever. He would finish with 28. Now under 5 seconds to go in the third. Nuggets down by 6. Monty Morris had himself a night. He scored 22. It was a 3-point game going to the fourth. Under 7 minutes to go in the fourth. Now Nuggets are just down 1. That's Nikola Jokic with the 3. He would score 36. Denver takes the lead. Under 4 minutes to go in the fourth. Nuggets by 6. Austin Rivers with his own 3. Nuggets scored 65 points in the second half. They were pulling away. Just under 2 minutes to go now. Nuggets leading by 6. It's Jokic from Morris. Jokic had 27 in the second half, and that's all she wrote. Denver wins 126-115, moving on to the next round to face the Suns. And then after the game, Damian Lillard posted this on his own Instagram. That photo, and as you can read, the caption says, "How long should I stay dedicated? How long till opportunity meet preparation?" which is quoting Nipsey Hussle. But as I come back to the players here, Kendrick Perkins, how should someone read that? What should someone take from what Damian Lillard posted?
I mean, he's frustrated, Greeny. He's frustrated. When you think about it, look, the man had 55, one of the best playoff performances that we witnessed in Game 4, right? I mean, in Game 5. And then when you think about how deflating that is, when a guy like Dame Dollar has put this organization on his back for 8 years, like you start to wonder. And no one would discredit or look at Dame any type of way if he decided to leave Portland, because we know what he did. We know he tried to stick it out. We know he didn't run from the grind. But at the end of the day, as a player that's getting up, I think he's 30, 31, he's getting up kind of in that age of, he don't have too much of his prime to waste. And he's looking around. He's like, man, hold on. It might be time. It might be time for a change. It might be time for me to go somewhere else. And no one would be mad at him. I know I wouldn't.
No, I think that's right. He is 30 years old. So, Legs, if indeed this feels like it might be the beginning of that, how would you envision it playing out? What do you think would be the best scenario for him?
Yeah, I love the word that Perk used, frustrated. I'll even go maybe another level, exasperated. I'll also say this word, Greeny, envious. Envious. And you know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about him sitting around year after year, going home in the first round for the most part, and watching stars paired up on other teams make great runs and win championships and have parades and all those things. And we have admired Damian Lillard because he's been in a small market team. He's been that guy that it seems like maybe he's going to stay with one team his entire career. And we've admired him for that. But the problem is this. At some point, you feel like when you're dropping double nickels on teams in a postseason game and losing, you feel like you're banging your head against the wall. And you start to realize, I'm probably closer to the end of my career than the beginning of my career. So do my priorities start to change a little bit? And there is nothing wrong for him to think that way. He cannot be blamed because the landscape of the NBA dictates that that's what you're going to need to do if you really want to have a chance to win a championship. Think about this. He's never even favored in series for the most part in his career. As great as he is, every postseason he goes into, he's an underdog right off the bat, whoever they're playing. So I look around the league, and you start to think about other teams that maybe could be a possibility for Damian Lillard. I don't know if his mind is there. I mean, he sent that out right after the end of his season. You know how frustrated he is sending that out? So maybe he has time to think about it, and he's going to stay in Portland, and that's going to be long-term for him when he has time to think about it over the summer. But right now, in the moment, there's no doubt he's going to sit back for the next 6 weeks and be envious of what he's going to watch as star players pair up and they make long runs in the postseason. That's got to be difficult for a guy this talented.
Yeah, remember, he played 4 years of college, so he's older than you may think he is. He'll be 31 in July. Let's leave this here for the moment. We have much. Video of the week comes from California, where the bravest 17-year-old human being that ever lived rescued her dogs with that outstanding block, where she just yeeted that bear directly off that wall. And I've been waiting all week to ask Damian Woody, my offensive lineman, can you give us a sense of that block? What do you think of the form, the technique? What do you think?
Well, I love her hand placement. The hand placement was wonderful, you know. But the question, here's the question, Green. The question I got is for you. Would you fight that bear over your dog Phoebe? That's what I want to know. Would you fight that bear over your dog Phoebe?
Oh, see, now the staff is playing surprises on me here. That's the love of my life. That's my dog, Phoebe. Yes, I would. I would try. Here's the difference between me and that girl. I would run out there and try and yeet that bear off of that wall, but I'd be unsuccessful. And who knows what terrible things might have befallen both my beloved dog and myself. Bart Scott, what do you think? How about this? This is the moment of the year to me, in or outside of sports.
I tell you what, man, thumbs inside to Damon's point. He hit him right inside, inside the chest plate of the bear. That's what caused the movement, Greeny. But my mom used to tell me all the time, when I call you, you better come, because one day it might save your life. Them damn dogs should have been saying, when he say come in, that means come in. Come on, little scrappy dude. I never seen a Chihuahua fight a Rottweiler. I bet it ain't pretty. You damn sure don't want to fight no bear.
Jeremy, what do you think?
Man, I am jealous because I don't know that I would come correct like she did, because I get little black bears that come in my neighborhood. I go hide in my office upstairs, close the garage in the fetal position. So I don't know that I would have those kind of guts that she showed.
Well, and I would say this because that video went viral for all of the obvious reasons earlier in the week. And then yesterday we had another moment that almost looked kind of similar, but it couldn't be more different. Look at Tyreek Hill and Orlando Brown. Look, they're going to celebrate, and watch what happens here. Look at this. Oh!
Oh, yeah.
Man down.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So I enjoy the use of the word yeet as a verb, and that's two cases of, in one case a man and another case a bear getting yeeted against their will, and I'm here for all of it. Okay, that was fun. Let's move on to our next order of business. What if I told you that Tom Brady won his 7th Super Bowl at the age of 43, and his body wasn't close to 100% when he did it? Listen to Buccaneers quarterbacks coach Clyde Christensen offering these thoughts yesterday.
I don't think he was 100% last year, and he said, his quote, or close to a quote, was, "Hey, I'm going to get my knee fixed up, and I'm going to be much better than last year, and you're going to be excited about that." Performance-wise, you want to feel good, and I think that thing was a nagging nuisance to him, having to tape it every day, having to, just make sure he had that thing loose. So I think he's excited about just feeling good again.
So at 44, coming off of a Super Bowl championship, Tom Brady is excited about just feeling good again. Bart Scott, your reaction?
I mean, you can see that Tom was laboring a little bit. Look, at 44, everything hurts, so he's never going to be 100% healthy. But I think this year, having the compliment of having a regular training camp, having OTAs, even though he's not there, you think about how many moving parts they had last year, Greeny, bringing Gronk in, bringing Antonio Brown in, trying to fit all these pieces in the midst of a pandemic when you can't really have that extra time in the meeting room. You can't have that extra time, practicing. But now this team is going to be much improved, and the league should watch out. But I think the rest of the pack has improved as well. So even though the Tampa Bay Buccaneers may be a better team, I think the path to the Super Bowl and the path to an 8th championship is going to be a lot harder.
That's fair. But D. Wood, your teammate, again, you started with him, he started with you. Is it reasonable to think Tom Brady at the age of 44 is going to be better next year?
Well, listen, first of all, there's no Benjamin Buttons in the National Football League. Father Time eventually catches up with people, but I will say this. Brad, there was no offseason last year, okay? There was no offseason, and Tom coming over from a new system in New England down in Tampa Bay, and they put this together all on the fly. So now with the whole offseason, and they talked about, Clyde Christensen talked about it, getting the knee cleaned up, going through the offseason program, a real training camp. You would think with all these returning players, they should be on paper better than they were last year. But I do agree with Bart that the competition is going to be better as well because of the offseason.
That's fair. But, Jeremy Fowler, we're sitting here talking about LeBron James, and at his stage of his career, does he have enough help around him? Brady clearly does in Tampa. And you were making an observation about some of the video that we're seeing of him throwing right now and why everyone should be paying attention.
Yeah, Greeny, I spoke with somebody just now with the Bucs who said that Tom Brady has been all gas this offseason. They've been getting reports. He's not at OTAs, but they're totally cool with that. They have no concerns over his knee. He has not been working out with a sleeve on his knee, which he's done in the past, or a brace. He's been running around. And that Instagram workout video that he posted recently, that made its way around the Tampa offices. And there were more than a few observations that maybe Brady is giving a gentle nudge to the rest of the league that he will be back stronger than ever in 2021.
That's just incredible. Go ahead, Bart. Final word. I see the look on your face.
Well, you got to take Brady at his word, right? Remember what he said at the end of last season. He said this year he has to evolve and become more of a mobile quarterback. So now maybe instead of timing him with a sundial, maybe you can do it with a hand clock.
That would be something else. Guys, let's pause on that thought for a moment. More football as we go. Obviously, back to LeBron we'll go. Oh, by the way, our next WNBA games are on ABC and the ESPN app tomorrow as the Aces face league-leading scorer Tina Charles and the Mystics. Then it's the Sky scoring off against the Sparks at the LA Convention Center. All the action again tomorrow on ABC and on the ESPN app. I would like to take a moment to say something about someone that you didn't know, but we all did. Our friend Kurt Ackerman died yesterday. He was just 58 years old. He was a director here at ESPN for 25 years, and he played a huge role on a lot of shows that you watch, including First Take and this one. Everybody here liked working with Kurt. He was quiet, but he was always in command. He listened to the people that he worked with, and he made all of us better at our extremely funny, again, with the guy running into the outfield wall and Dan Orlovsky running out of the back of the end zone. Dan brings that on himself. And once again, I will say it, the funny outweighs the mean. With that, we welcome you to another hour live from the Seaport District in New York City. I am Greeny. We are brought to you by Chase, and we are jam-packed on what shapes up to be maybe the busiest Friday we have had all year. Here comes the menu for hour number 2. It is time to get up on this, the morning after LeBron's Lakers picking up the pieces after a devastating defeat. Is it all over long term in LA? Meanwhile, this all-time great offers the best reason yet to believe he isn't done winning Super Bowls. Wait until you hear this. And we will explain why we are just a few days away from finding out exactly how this is going to go down with Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay. All of that and more in the hopper as we get up with you, starting right now with this. Lakers, Suns, Game 6 last night in LA. Anthony Davis giving it a go with the groin injury, but it would not last long. Take a look here. You can see he's just a shell of himself. He was trying to do what he could against Devin Booker there, but he can't do anything, and he can't get back on defense. And at one point, he looked like he could barely stand And that look on his face tells you everything you need to know. It was over early for AD and for his team. And that was largely because of this man, Devin Booker, on fire. 6 threes in the first, tied for the most threes in any quarter in NBA playoff history. Halfway through the second, there's another. The Suns by 21 at halftime. 5 minutes to go in the third. Lakers down 15. LeBron not giving up. In traffic. Taking it strong. It's a 13-point game. The fans at Staples trying desperately to will the defending champs back into it. A minute and a half to go in the third. Lakers down 15. There's LeBron again. He had 29. It's a 13-point game going to the fourth quarter. But there was just too much from the Suns. The leadership from Chris Paul. He had 8 points, 12 assists, and he was feeling it in the final few minutes there. You know he knows what's happening. Under 2 minutes to go. Suns up 13. Look at LeBron. He just knows it's over. Doesn't even come out to challenge. In this game, Phoenix would shoot 50% from the floor, 51% from three. Devin Booker would finish with 47, and the Lakers would finish in the first round, 113-100. Phoenix takes it in 6.
Just wanted to be out there for the team, in a situation, when to go home. Obviously didn't want to just lay down and not be able to do what I can. It never really felt good, but like I say, I want to go out just a competitive nature in me to go out and help the team, as best as I could. My body didn't agree.
It doesn't matter to me as far as, not making it out of the first round. What matters to me is getting this team back healthy. Me not being able to be at my full strength throughout this series, that's my main focus. But, time to readjust and think about what the offseason has in store.
The earliest he's ever gone to the offseason. LeBron's teams had never lost in round one, and we have a full squad ready to go here. Kendrick Perkins, Zach Lowe gets up with us this morning. Tim Legler back with us here. Big Perk, LeBron has become that rarest of athletes who, with everything he does, it becomes about his legacy. What is last night regarding LeBron James and his legacy?
It was nothing, Greeny. Look, we're talking about a guy that's in his 18th season. And I get caught up in this at times, too, about just his greatness and his expectations and the pressure. But in his 18th season, and I get it, he's 36 years old, but we have to remember the miles, the wear and tear that is on this man's body and the stuff that he had to battle through this season just to get to this point. And he still was a hell of a LeBron James. I mean, he wasn't the greatest of what we've seen, the greatest version, but he still came out there and delivered, and did what he could do best. And that's go out there and try to give you 22 a night on 50% shooting. So I don't want to hear anything about LeBron James, he didn't deliver, he's washed, he's this, he's that. No, this is just a guy we're seeing in his 18th year. What else do we expect?
I think that's fair. And Tim Legler said something similar. But Zach Lowe, you and I talked yesterday, and we were talking about Game 6 LeBron. And that's a decade ago for the most part that we are talking about here. Is it reasonable to think that perhaps that LeBron James is someone we will not see again?
I'm not going there. He is staring down his basketball mortality now. This is 2 major injuries in 3 seasons for a guy who never, ever got hurt. An indestructible tank is now a little bit destructible. But I'm not going there. If LeBron's healthy and AD is healthy, this is a team to be reckoned with. Now, they got some big decisions to make with Dennis Schroeder, who was awful for the most part in this series, with Alex Caruso, with Taylor Horton-Tucker, with the supporting cast. But if those guys are healthy, I am not writing them off yet. And I agree with Perk on LeBron's legacy and this game not really impacting it all that much.
Yeah, and Timmy Legler said something earlier. So, Legs, let me then bring you in on this. If you're the person in charge of making the decisions for the Lakers, are you looking at it as though I'm running this thing back? If we stay healthy, this is a championship caliber team, or do you think that some sort of significant addition or change needs to be made? Legs.
I think they absolutely need to tweak the supporting cast. I think they need to get a little bit younger, more athletic. I think this is a team, when you looked at them last night against Phoenix was playing at a completely different RPM than the Lakers were. Now, granted, LeBron was out there by himself, and I think some of us, myself included, we kind of gave LeBron a benefit of the doubt going into the game that maybe we're going to see this vintage rollback LeBron, that he was against the Warriors when he was doing it by himself offensively, scoring at will, controlling the game, getting wherever he wanted to on the floor, whenever he wanted to. I gave him the benefit of the doubt, and that's a testament to his greatness that we did this deep into his career think he could roll it back last night. Obviously, they got hit with a barrage, and it's too much at this stage of LeBron's career to come back from that. And he's not that player anymore, and there's nothing wrong with that this deep into his career. So with that slight decline in LeBron's game, his physical stature, Anthony Davis uncertainty, you need to go out and I think you need to get some fresher, younger legs and guys that can get up and down the floor. Maybe somebody else that can get their own shot, get their own offense. If LeBron is out of the game, as Dennis Schroeder ended up being a little bit unreliable on the offensive end of the floor. So there definitely needs to be tweaks. You're not going to run it back with LeBron and AD, I don't believe, with just 1 year of age. And again, Anthony Davis most likely to go through some sort of injury again next year, and think you're going to navigate a Western Conference, by the way, that now has to include the Utah Jazz and the Phoenix Suns going into the season as legitimate contenders, along with teams like Denver, along with the Clippers who aren't going away, along with a team like Portland. Dallas obviously has a chance now maybe to move on to the second round tonight with Luka Doncic as a superstar. You're not navigating the West by standing pat with two guys at this stage of their careers.
So, Big Perk, let me come to you, because so much of the talk will be about Anthony Davis, and he went out there last night and he gave it a go. Is criticism of him fair? Is criticizing Anthony Davis for his inability to be the guy to help LeBron get over the hump this season, is it fair for him to be criticized? Big Perk.
No, it's not, because Greeny, he did what he needed to do last year to help the Lakers to win a fourth, help LeBron win his fourth title and bring a championship back home to the Los Angeles Lakers. Look, this man was coming off a strained Achilles, dealing with a growing strain on top of a hyperextended knee on the same leg. Like, what you want him to do? Go out there in the wheelchair? At the end of the day, I agree with Tim Leggs on the part where he said the role players have to get better, the supporting cast. You look at Dennis Schroeder, a no-show, a guy that asked for $100 million. He was nowhere to be found. Andre Drummond, I said it again, a guy that went on a tour around the league after he was released from the Cavs, debating on where he was going to sign. We thought he was going to come in at 14 a night. He had to get benched. And then God knows, God bless America, Kyle Kuzma, okay? It's so frustrating watching him. I can only imagine playing with him. I made my kids quit watching the TV because I didn't want them picking up bad habits on watching the game of basketball, just watching this man play. So can anybody see or feel the frustration of LeBron James not having Anthony Davis and having to deal with Kyle Kuzma coming down and playing the ridiculous style of basketball that he played last night and in this series? Just no IQ whatsoever.
All right, that's strongly said. And so then, Zach, I come back to you. If you're the person making the decisions in L.A., do you feel like you have to think to yourself, Anthony Davis is just too injury prone for me to depend upon him to be the guy who is going to help LeBron get over the finish line in the future?
Oh, even if I thought that, what could I do? Who am I trading Anthony Davis for that's going to be anywhere near equivalent to full-strength Anthony Davis? Are we forgetting who made the biggest shot in the entire NBA season last year? Was Anthony Davis's buzzer beater to beat Denver in Game 2 of the conference finals. This guy deserves the benefit of the doubt. What are you going to do? Trade him for what? For who? How are you giving LeBron a better player than that in his prime, at the end of his prime like that? The Lakers do need to change the supporting cast. That's easier said than done. Everything Leggs said about faster, get a shot creator, someone who can take the burden off LeBron, someone who's a little younger. That was supposed to be Dennis Schroeder. They traded Danny Green, an older shooting guard, and a low first-round pick for that guy for all of those reasons. And maybe he would have been that guy if not entering the health and safety protocols right before the playoffs. We just won't know. But that was the whole point of that trade. Someone somewhere needs to give those guys a little more oomph. But Anthony Davis, I'm not going to doubt him. I'm not going to start doing trade talks for him just because he got hurt at the wrong time.
Fair enough. And I didn't mean it that way. It's my fault. I asked the question badly. What I really mean is, do they need to think about adding somebody else? And that somebody else might have posted his way into it last night on Instagram. I showed this already. We showed you the highlight of Portland going out in a tough loss to Denver in 6 games, and Damian Lillard, who will be 31 in July, posting this picture on Instagram with that caption: "How long should I stay dedicated? How long till opportunity meets preparation?" Quoting Nipsey Hussle. And so, Zach, again, as my insider in this discussion, I will ask you, do you believe the conversations this summer will take place, whether they are rumor or they are actually based in something more concrete than that, about Damian Lillard being on a new team next year?
That is entirely up to Damian Lillard. The Portland Trail Blazers are not going to proactively start trade discussions about Damian Lillard unless he goes in there and says, hey, it's time. And if that happens, it's Armageddon, and lots of teams will get involved. The Lakers, I'm sure, would love to be involved. They just have nothing to trade for Damian Lillard, so I'm not sure how people are going to connect those dots. But until he sends that message directly and proactively, and it does not seem like it's in his character and his past to do that, the Blazers are not going to proactively do it.
What do you think, Timmy Legs? How do you see that thing going?
Look, who knows? It's hard to read into something that somebody tweets or sends out right after the most frustrated night of their season. I mean, that's so easy to go and put that out there. And to be honest with you, that was kind of tame in regards to what some guys might have posted if they've been through what Damian Lillard has year after year, being on an underdog team despite being one of the best players in the NBA and going home in the first round season after season and sitting back for 6 weeks and watching your colleagues and your peers and guys you know you're on the same level with make long runs, win championships, get parades, all that stuff. So I wouldn't read too much into it right away. That's a frustrated Damian Lillard, exasperated in some regards, and an envious one as well, because he knows what he's about to watch with some of these other teams. Having said that, what he talked about, when is opportunity going to meet preparation? Well, honestly, for you, Dame, opportunity meets that preparation you're putting in when you play with another superstar. And if you think you're going to get one to come to Portland, I'm not sure that that's going to happen. I love C.J. McCollum. C.J. McCollum is a really, really good player. He is not a superstar. Damian Lillard needs another legitimate superstar next to him to have a viable shot to make a deep playoff run.
Give me the place, Big Perk. If Damian Lillard is going to win the NBA championship next year, where's it going to be?
The Los Angeles Lakers, and they have to find a way to make it work. I'm serious. He has to go there. When you watch, look, the Brooklyn Nets put the world on notice, okay? This is what's happening right now. And I think that the NBA is watching it. Other guys around the league are watching what's going on. If I'm Damian Lillard, I'm really interested in going to the Los Angeles Lakers, a bigger market. You have better talent around you in LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And you give yourself to do what? Win a championship, a thing that you've been fighting so hard to do for the last 9 years, carrying the organization. Because as Legs just said, no one is going to Portland, okay? No one is going there. And you have tried this with C.J. McCollum for under a decade, and it have not gotten you anywhere, and you have laid it out on the line night in, night out. So I think the Los Angeles Lakers will be a great fit for Damian Lillard.
That'd be something else if they could find a way to do it. I have to leave it there. We have so much more on this, guys. Thank you all for getting up here. Stephen A. is on the way as well. We'll do much more on all of this. And we are back on Get Up, and Aaron Rodgers. Rob Demovsky, who covers Green Bay for us, was on ESPN Radio 1000 in Chicago and had this to say regarding the possibility of Rodgers returning to Green Bay.
Just don't see him walking back in the Lambeau field and saying, just kidding, guys, let's go win a championship. He's too dug in. He's too stubborn. I just don't see how you walk this back. I mean, the only way he walks it back is if he realizes that, or believes that public sentiment is against him and he cares about what fans think of him. In terms of that legacy part of it. I guess that's the only way I see him reconsidering.
All right, Jeremy Fowler, my insider, explain to everyone why next week is so critical in this process, really the next moment to be keeping a close eye on.
Well, Well, Greeny, with minicamp coming up, as of right now, the Green Bay Packers are a bit in the dark whether Rodgers will actually show up. I've spoken to a few execs around the league who think he might not because he's so dug in. But the Packers' strategy remains clear. They don't want to trade him. They've looked at solutions. They've looked at his contract, but they're also waiting this out because if things really went south and one day they had to trade him, that would involve future draft picks that don't affect this season anyways. So they continue to hang out.
Bart, how many reasons does Aaron Rodgers have to show up? A lot of us think, oh, he's so dug in, there's no way he will. I'm sort of one of those. But how many reasons can we count why at some point he might?
About 30 million. I'm not giving 30 million back, but nobody, man. I don't care what you say. But listen, it's all about negotiation. D. Wood understands that. He negotiated his buyout in Detroit when he realized how horrible of a team that was. So, I think Aaron Rodgers has a different type of thing. But listen, it's funny when people believe that players care about what the hell the fans think. At the end of the day, whether Aaron Rodgers leaves or because he wants to or because they cut him, they're going to burn his jersey any damn way. So it don't matter. He don't own Green Bay nothing. But what he does is own himself something, his legacy. So here's a proposal for you, Greeny. If I'm Aaron, I'm going and say, listen, I'm going to give you 1 year. You're going to give me my $30 million, but I want an outright release. You understand? I want an outright release. I don't want to be put on the market for trade value. I'm going to give you 1 year. You give me my walking papers so I can sign what the hell I want to sign, and nobody has to give up compensation. That way I can go anywhere.
Does that make sense, D. Wood?
Yeah, and listen, that makes sense for Aaron Rodgers, but wait, no, listen, Bart said it right about Detroit. There's no question about that. I did do that, but that makes a lot of sense for Aaron Rodgers. But why in the hell would Green Bay, give up those concessions when you got a commodity like Aaron Rodgers? Like,
Exactly.
hell no, I'm not giving in with all of that.
Because I'm going to give you another MVP season. And when I leave, I'm going to clear up all that cap space for you. So now you can get all those players you want, and they're going to be proven. You'll be able to sign Devontae Adams if he don't want to come to me, but you'll have more money to go spend in free agency because you're going to have $20 more million on your cap. That's why you're going to let me go, because I'm going to give you money back, baby.
And D. Wood, you can finally play Jordan Love, who you're so eager to get out there, who you had to trade up and draft last year.
Yes.
Greeny. Listen, I know you're trying to play Bart up right now.
How much did you get back, D. Wood? How much did you get back, D. Wood? How much did you get back?
Ain't no way in the world I'm gonna let Aaron Rodgers just walk free and clear.
They let you walk. How much you get back, D. Wood? How much you get back? How much did you get back, Damon?
How much did I get? Hey, we not gonna get into the
you
pockets and
stuttering.
all that.
It must be a lie. You stuttering.
Hey, listen, I gave up a stack, but my mind was good. My mind was free to get up out of there. But
he want his mind
the
free.
Green Bay Packers.
I will say this: I've seen Damian Woody's house. He's
They
doing
gotta
fine.
get rid
Don't
of him
worry
anyway.
about it. But D. Wood, let me come back to you on a more serious note here. All those other things aside, do you believe Aaron Rodgers plays for them this year? Do you, Damian Woody, believe Aaron Rodgers plays for the Packers this season?
I don't, man, because I think Aaron Rodgers is the most stubborn guy in the National Football League, and it makes all the sense in the world. If Aaron Rodgers truly wants to go win a Super Bowl, there's no better place than Green Bay. But I don't think Aaron Rodgers is wired like that. When he has his mindset on something, he's gonna stick to it. That's just who he is.
All right, so then let's do this in the form of true or false. And Bart, you're going to go. You will get your chance to respond to that. But I'm going to start, D. Wood, with you. We've got 3 true/false questions for each of our crew. D. Wood, let's start with this. Denver is one of the places that has been talked about. So true or false, the Broncos are a Super Bowl contender if they get Aaron Rodgers. D. Wood.
Greeny, that's true. Listen, the Broncos got a bunch of young studs at the skill position. Cortland Sutton is going to come back. Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, Noah Fant. The list goes on. And they have a championship type of defense with Vic Fangio coaching them up. That right there would be major if they could pull that off.
All right, Jeremy Fowler. Another team we've heard is the Raiders. True or false, the Raiders are a Super Bowl contender with Rodgers?
Absolutely not, Greeny. I'm going to say false. Now, you'd be surprised how many GMs and execs around the league think Derek Carr is a top 10 quarterback, and they're still stuck on 8-8 with him. Good quarterbacks know you got to surround yourself with a top-notch defense, and the Raiders simply have not been that. They've been scrambling all offseason, try to make that defense better. They just revamped their offensive line. You just don't know what you're going to get out of that, but D-Wood's on to something with Denver. That's different.
Bart looks exasperated, but Bart, I give you your chance here. Here's your question. True or false? Aaron Rodgers will be the starting quarterback for the Packers week 1 this year.
I'm going to go false right there, Greeny, but I tell you what, I think he's going to be the starting quarterback by week 3 once they start taking that cheese off his taco. And he realized Carson Palmer never won. They sat out. Listen, remember that stalemate that they had between the Bengals and the Raiders, right? It took that compensation later. So listen, the Green Bay Packers is in no rush to give Aaron Rodgers away. They're going to have to negotiate, and that's why I say give back that money, or you're going to have to come in and say, let me go. Let my people go.
Cheese off the taco. Even in Wisconsin, there isn't that much cheese. It's $30 million. We'll take a short break. We're going long. Meanwhile, let's run the floor through the NBA stories and games. First off, the Sixers announcing yesterday that Joel Embiid has been diagnosed with a small tear in the lateral meniscus of his right knee. He's officially listed as day-to-day. The Sixers will open their second-round series against Atlanta on Sunday. Then to last night, despite Damian Lillard breaking the record for threes made in a playoff series, that wasn't enough for Portland. The Nuggets led by 36 points from Nikola Jokic, eliminating the Trailblazers 115 in Game 6. Denver will play Phoenix in round 2. That after Phoenix knocked out the Lakers last night. Anthony Davis injured early again, re-aggravating the groin injury. And the Lakers knocked out by the Suns, who were led by Devin Booker with 47 points. LeBron James eliminated in the first round for the first time in his career. And in Los Angeles this morning, Stephen A. Smith gets up early with us. They're 29 minutes away from First Take. Steve, thank you again. And so let's just start right there at the top. Many people will look at this and say the Lakers championship window closes last night. How do you see it?
I don't see it closing. I don't see it as closing. I see it as closed. It's over.
Over?
No. LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers are not winning another championship in the LeBron James, Anthony Davis era, in my opinion. Because I think Klay Thompson's coming back. Utah isn't going anywhere. Jokic and Denver are not going anywhere. Michael Porter is elevating before our very eyes, and Jamal Murray is coming back. This is a perimeter-oriented game, and up-tempo, and the Lakers were relatively slow this year, and they didn't have strong shooting, and I don't know where they're going to get it. The combination of that, along with the fact that Brooklyn is staying together for at least another year or two, Philadelphia and Milwaukee are coming, and Father Time and LeBron James are coming closer to one another, reaching an accord. Certainly, I think that he can drop 25 a night in his sleep. He's number 2 as far as I'm concerned on my all-time list. I'm not taking anything away from him. I certainly don't blame him for what transpired in this series against the Phoenix Suns. It was about the durability of Anthony Davis. If Anthony Davis were healthy, I believe the Los Angeles Lakers would have won this series. But he wasn't. But 20% of the time, he hasn't been available. And for those out there that are going to get into it, because you know if you're critical of today's players, Greeny, we understand. It's not just about basketball. It's got to be about something else. You're talking about the family. You're talking about their personal life. You're talking about everything just because you said, excuse me, they got problems playing the game of basketball for whatever reason. Let me put Anthony Davis on notice right now. When healthy, you are one of the top 5 players on the planet. No one with basketball sense would question the greatness of Anthony Davis as a player. He is a champion on a collegiate level. He is a champion on the NBA level. When he's healthy in the postseason, the brother averages 30 plus on better than 50% shooting. He is that lethal, and he's a defensive presence as well. The problem is his availability. He has not always been available. He certainly wasn't available the last 3 games of this series. And because of that reality is why the Los Angeles Lakers lost. And so now moving forward, with the game being what it is, based and predicated on guard play, perimeter shooting, pushing the ball up and down the floor, etc. The bottom line is, can you rely on a relatively frail Anthony Davis to be that dependable, reliable presence for you? The answer would be no. And if you can't rely on him, That means you have to rely on LeBron, who will be 37 years of age, entering his 19th season in the NBA. And you think that's going to knock off these young Lions that are coming? I don't think so. The Lakers' best chance to get another title in LA in the LeBron James era was this season. It didn't happen. I think it's over.
Okay, so Stephen A., what makes you great is that you are not just an opinionist, but also an insider. And so my question to you then is this. If LeBron and Anthony Davis cannot do this themselves, is there something they can do this offseason? Someone realistically they can acquire that will reopen that window?
I genuinely don't know the answer to that question. You've got Kyle Lowry that's going to be available, and he's an experienced, savvy point guard who knows how to run a basketball team and can hit perimeter shots. But he might cost you about $25 million a year. I don't know what's going to be the case with that. Remember, the Los Angeles Lakers, money was an issue. That's the reason why Dwight Howard and a JaVale McGee were both gone, and a Rondo ended up departing. Remember, in football, what did we love about what we saw this offseason? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, led by Tom Brady, who won a Super Bowl championship, kept all 22 starters. That's what we raved about them. The Los Angeles Lakers did the opposite. Gone is Dwight Howard. Gone is JaVale McGee. Gone is Rajon Rondo. And in this place, you get Dennis Schroeder, who thought he was worth $100 million and now might struggle to get 50, especially when you put a donut up in Game 5. You've got a Montrezl Harrell, who is the reigning sixth man of the year until Jordan Clarkson obviously won it a few weeks ago. Montrezl Harrell was the sixth man of the year. You got him. That was one of the reasons Dwight Howard departed. And you're Frank Vogel, the coach, and somehow, some way, knowing the fragility of an Anthony Davis, you don't prep Montrezl Harrell to be ready to go for this team in the postseason time, and you got him averaging 6 minutes a game in the first round series. That's just deplorable. And so when you look at it from that perspective, we don't know what the Lakers are going to be able to get. What we do know is that no matter who they get, it's not going to negate the fact that LeBron James and Anthony Davis are the cornerstones of this franchise. And one is unreliable because of his health, and the other is great and reliable as he is and may be. He's 37. He'll be 37 in his 19th year in the NBA. Have you seen who's playing around this league and what the hell they're doing? How the hell you going to sit up there and rely on that? I don't think you can. It's over.
I will give you one name, however, and it was brought up by Kendrick Perkins earlier today. Cindy, put the tweet up there. D. Wood, I'll come to you in a minute. But Cindy, put the tweet up there. Damian Lillard, this is actually Instagram, after Portland's loss last night and the Trailblazers were eliminated, he posted that picture and wrote, "How long should I stay dedicated? How long till opportunity meets preparation?" Quoting the late, great Nipsey Hussle. So, Stephen A., let me come back to you. Kendrick Perkins brought up the Lakers need to find a way to get Damian Lillard, and Lillard should want to go there. Stephen A., do you see any way that happens?
No. Number one, he makes too much money. Number two, the equitable compensation that Portland would demand in return for a dude in the midst of a $250 million contract would require you giving up, something in return. So maybe one of your big two, meaning Anthony Davis. Number three, and more importantly, Damian Lillard does not want to be in L.A. He's dedicated to Portland and what have you. That may have changed after last night, as well as it should, because I've told him many times it needs to change. He needs to get the hell up out of Portland, and it's been validated yet again when they blew his 55-point performance and still lost Game 5. But even though, I could see him ultimately leaving Portland, even insisting on being out of there as much as he loves being there and repping that city. He's not the kind of guy that wants to run to L.A. That's not who he is. That's not his ilk. That's not what he's made of. He's not interested in being in Tinseltown, being the sidekick to LeBron James. That is not how he flows. I do not see that happening.
Okay, fair enough. So we'll see. The Damian Lillard saga may play out. Now, I did want to bring in your friend and mine, D. Wood, who is devastated today. I mean, it's so sad to see a big fella looking this kind of sad, Stephen A., because you know how much he loves the Lakers. And D. Wood, Stephen A. just said, your window is closed. How do you feel this morning?
Greeny, I told you before Get Up, I was pissed off this morning. I told you how pissed off and mad I was this morning. And here it is before 10 a.m., and Stephen A. coming in here talking all types of foolishness. out there in Los Angeles speaking blasphemy about my Los Angeles Lakers, talking about it's over, it's a wrap. Have you lost your damn mind, Stephen A? Okay, you cannot be out there on our turf talking foolishness about the Los Angeles Lakers this era with LeBron James being over. There is no way in the world that we're going to sit back this offseason with what we displayed last night and think we're not going to come back with some type of move. Are you kidding me? After we got the chip last year, no way we going to settle and go back to those awful years that we had over the past, 7, 8 years or whatever it was. There's no way we're going to keep flowing backwards like that. We're going to make a comeback. And I'm not here to hear Stephen A. talking crazy about my Los Angeles Lakers. Forget all of that.
Well, first of all, in order to not hear me, it's a very simple solution. Take out your earplugs and go and play that piano behind you. Right? Ain't nobody stopping you. The fact of the matter is they asked me a question. And as the late, great John Thompson, God rest his wonderful soul, once said about me, here's the thing I love about my man Stephen A. Smith. You want to know how he feels? Just ask him. It's very simple. I was asked a question. I'm minding my business. I didn't mind coming on at 10 o'clock, but they asked me to get up early to come on First Take. So out of the kindness of my heart and my love for Greeny and the whole Get Up crew, I decided to show up and answer an honest question. It's over. It's over because Klay Thompson is coming back and the Golden State Warriors will be coming. It's over because Donovan Mitchell is a bona fide superstar, D-Wade 2.0, and the Utah Jazz might very well come out of the West. It's over because Jokic is the man doing his thing. He's about to win league MVP. Michael Porter has elevated with the absence of Jamal Murray, and Jamal Murray is coming back. It's over because Kyrie, KD, and James Harden ain't going nowhere in Brooklyn. It's over because the Milwaukee Bucks have the Giannis the Greek Freak. They have Drew Holiday. They've got Chris Middleton. Okay? It's over because Joel Embiid won't always be hurt. Ben Simmons ain't going nowhere. Seth Curry and the rest of the crew in Philadelphia, coached by Doc Rivers, will have something to say. I gave you about 6 or 7 different reasons before I even brought up Father Time, before I even brought up injury-prone Anthony Davis, before I even brought up the fact that the Los Angeles Lakers, not you, Damian Woody, not the competition, the Los Angeles Lakers did it to themselves. And let me break some news to Damian Woody. In all seriousness, D. Wood, I got some news that's going to really depress you. But as a champion, you know exactly where I'm going with this. The Los Angeles Lakers win the title last year. What happened? Everybody in the NBA will tell you they were feeling themselves. We walking around Tinseltown, not LeBron, because LeBron is LeBron, and he's going to be in that weight room paying his $1.5 million to work on his body every single year. But there's a lot of people for the Los Angeles Lakers that were accused of not prioritizing, taking this season seriously enough because they were feeling themselves as reigning defending champions. You've been around people like that. Bill Belichick never allowed that in New England, which is why y'all won so many damn championships. You've seen many times where dudes in professional sports, they win one, they think they've arrived, and they forgot that the next year is a new year. That's what the Lakers did. They blew their opportunity, and as a result, it's over. And oh, by the way, before last year, they had missed the playoffs 6 straight years. So let's not act like it's beyond the pale that the Lakers could plummet. Let's stop that.
I have to let Stephen A. go. D. Wood, we will come back with you in a moment. Stephen A., 17 minutes from First Take, just the best. And then he's got the pregame tonight. So a very busy day from Los Angeles for Stephen A. Smith. Thank you, Steve, for getting up early for us here. Again, he's 17 minutes away from First Take. What else? Oh, we got the game tonight. Yeah, Kawhi and the Clippers, a must-win situation on the road against Luka and the Mavs. Game 6 tonight, 9 Eastern. On ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and the ESPN app. I mentioned SportsCenter with Stephen A. will start the coverage at 7. That's followed by NBA Count. Hurry up through some NFL big storylines, starting with Todd Gurley.
Well, Greeny, the Lions are looking at signing Todd Gurley either now or closer to training camp, but this is not the splashy signing that you would think it was a year or two ago. The Lions want to run the ball a lot under offensive coordinator Anthony Lynn. They gave Jamal Williams a $6 million contract to be a bell cow. They got DeAndre Smith, so Gurley would come in and be more of a complimentary piece at this point, but he is an option. Let's go to Darius Leonard with the Colts. I'm told that the Colts have prioritized re-signing their versatile linebacker to a mega extension. They've already had talks on that front. But here's the issue. Leonard knows he's the most versatile linebacker in the NFL. He's going to want to be paid as such, top of market money. Bobby Wagner makes $18 million in linebacker. He's going to have to surpass that. It's uncertain if the Colts will go that far. They also have to sign right tackle Braden Smith. Now let's go to Julio Jones. Now the buzz about the Tennessee Titans and Julio Jones has not quite gone away. A lot of teams are still talking about the Titans as a potential destination. Now I checked in on this. I was told that the Titans continue to monitor the situation, so there is some level of interest, but nothing is going on right now. They're not deep in talks where something is imminent. Like many teams, the Titans are concerned about overpaying as far as draft compensation for as great as Julio is. 32, coming off some injuries, so some teams are still a little bit cautious right now.
Yes, that makes sense. And yet there are reasons why the Falcons have an urgent need to trade him. They can't even sign their own draft picks until they move his contract or his salary off the books, and they have training camp next week, which is why I've been saying a trade could come any day for the 32-year-old wide receiver who is expected to be dealt before the Falcons open mandatory minicamp next week. And so let me bring the crew in here on that conversation here. Do I have Bart Scott and Damian Woody back? Yes, I do. Bart Scott, what do you think of this? They have reason to be urgent in Atlanta to move Julio Jones sooner rather than later. Who should be trying to make that happen?
I mean, I think it's still the usual suspects, but when Kimberly said that the Ravens and the Rams weren't interested, so I think to the top of that list goes the Tennessee Titans. Listen, Tennessee Titans has to be all in. They have to understand that their window is closed, and you only understand or believe that King Henry can only continue to run at this type of level, 2,000-yard type pace 2 years in a row with this many carries for so long. You have to give him a lighter box as teams stack up against him. You think about what they lost at the receiver position last year. You had Julio Jones. Not only does he give you a big target, he also opens up and creates more space vertically and horizontally on that football field, which creates more space for King Henry to run.
And so what are the concerns, D. Wood? What do you think?
Well, listen, for me, it's the New England Patriots. I mean, we saw that the Patriots, was spending like a drunken sailor this offseason with all the acquisitions. But the one thing that they don't have on offense is an alpha on the outside. Yes, they added Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, and a couple of tight ends in Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. But they don't have a true number one wide receiver. And we know the one thing that whether it be Cam Newton or Mac Jones, they need a guy that can win those one-on-one battles on the outside. So I think if New England truly wants to compete in the AFC with the Kansas Cities and the Cleveland Browns and Buffalo Bills, I think they need an acquisition like a Julio Jones to really further elevate their roster.
That would be very intriguing. We will see. Maybe today or sometime this weekend will be the time where this happens. Meanwhile, to finish it up where we all began today, meanwhile on planet Earth, LeBron James yesterday, after his season came to an end, was asked about playing in the Olympics this summer, and he told us he has other plans in mind.
No, I think I'm gonna play for the Toon Squad this summer instead of the Olympics. I think that's what that's my focus on trying to beat the Monstars or the Goon Squad, we call them now. So didn't have much success versus Suns. So now I am gearing my attention to the Goon Squad here in mid-July. So I'm gonna let the ankle rest for about a month, and then I'm gonna gear up with Lola, Taz, Granny, Bugs, and the rest of the crew.
So there's that. Damian Woody.
He knew his real team this year.
Yeah, moments ago, D. Wood, I mean, you and Stephen A. were going at it like crazy, and I promised I'd give you the opportunity for a final word here. What is your reaction?
Well, since a real championship is not happening, I guess you go out there and compete with some fictional characters to try to win over the hearts and minds of my little son that's 9 years old, I guess. I'm hurt, Greeny. I'm hurt right now, man. The purple and gold is out of this thing, and it just hurts, man, to seeing all these other teams out here competing for a chip. And we got LeBron talking about a movie and fictional characters. So all I can do is swallow this pride, man, and just see what the Lakers do in the offseason.
So Bart Scott, and again, I hear you talking about basketball every single day on your radio show, Bart and Hahn, on Coast to Coast on ESPN Radio. Stephen A. just said the Laker window is not closing, it's closed. Do you agree?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you know what, Greeny? I want to give you something for your radio show. People, I think, are missing the mark we're saying Dame Dollar to the Lakers. I think Dame Dollar to Golden State is the move. You think about who has the assets to make a move for a guy like Dame Dollar. They can give up Wiseman, Wiggins, Oubre, and they have a ton of picks. And you know they have an owner who's not afraid of the luxury tax. Could you imagine Clay with Curry, with maybe keeping Pascal and also Dame Lillard, how explosive that can be, and he's from that area. So I think that's really where Dame Lillard should go and could go because they have the assets and the ammunition to go get a guy like Dame Dollar.
He is from Oakland, and so, yeah, that would be a homecoming of sorts. But you know as well as anybody, Bart Scott, that every fan of the New York Knicks is screaming right now, that's the guy the Knicks need.
Nah.
Why are you shaking your head?
He wants to win a champion because he wants to win a championship. How's he going to win a championship with Quickly and Randall? Like, come on, man. Like, that's the Three Stooges. He's been going to the same situation. He needs to go to Golden State, go back home because that's not your home team to win a chip. Go ahead and put it on your show, Greeny. Put the poll up. It'll be on fire.
I will get that going. We will be coast to coast on ESPN Radio in just a few minutes, and then Bart later today. Guys, thank you for getting up. D. Wood, hang in there. Everything will be okay. At least you got the championship.
How much money did you get back, Wood? How much money did you give back?
They'll keep yelling at each other. In the meantime, speaking of